Every year, as we all begin to experience Christmas cheer, parents everywhere threaten their children with Santa Claus. With the help of catchy songs and frightening media, children are persuaded by these threats into good behavior, at least until they get their presents. This type of persuasion is known as a fear appeal. Fear appeals are used in media, politics, and some parenting methods. Fear is something that we all experience, but how exactly is it persuasive? I believe that the stage model explains this best. The stage model, because it shows the process of what a person goes through when perceiving a threat. For example, a few weeks ago when I was walking down the street, I saw a rather large dog. As this dog was approaching me, I went through a threat appraisal. The dog was large, the leash looked cheap, and the dog's owner looked rather small. Because of this, my levels of perceived severity and my levels of perceived vulnerability began to rise. This caused me to go into a coping appraisal. My coping appraisal was to cross the street and choose a different path. While this is a physical threat, the stage model applies the same for written and verbal messages. They're extremely common in political rallies especially, like this one from Donald Trump in 2022.
And I heard somebody say it, a scholar say it 2-3 days ago, said, if we don't win, this may be the last election our country ever has. And there could be truth to it. That's where we're going. Because Joe Biden is a threat to democracy.
Well, it's not the most poetic or even the most subtle form of persuasion. That doesn't really matter, because as long as the audience believes it, then they'll want Trump to win even more. This is another good example from Joe Biden during the 2020 election.
There's no response. We faced a different problem 10 years ago when the economy collapsed because of Republican policies. Now we face a problem that the economy as well as the soul of this country is collapsing because of this presidency. So it's a different problem, but with the same basic principle.
This rhetoric is slightly different than Trump's, but both messages convey the same message of fear. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. The economy and the soul of this country is collapsing. Under a fear appeal, truth becomes irrelevant, because as long as the audience believes in the given threat and the given solution, then the speaker has succeeded. Now, I think everyone here knows that truth is not irrelevant, and using fear to mislead people is wrong. But does that mean fear appeals themselves are wrong? These are my parents. They sell insurance for a living, and they use fear appeals every single day when they do sell insurance. Does this mean that I think my parents are bad people? No, of course not. Because sometimes appealing to people's fears is what's necessary in conveying the seriousness of a situation. If you get into a car accident, you will be under serious financial, mental, and sometimes physical duress. But if you get full coverage on your car, then that coverage will alleviate much of that pain. This is the same exact method that doctors use to persuade their patients to stop smoking. All of this, in the same vein, media, politicians, and parents can and do use fear appeals correctly, but it's up to us to decide what is and isn't a real threat. Thank you.